Just wanted to ask you a little bit about um, what work you're doing with AI currently in your field, and what are you doing?
I work for a company that's trying to bring what we call large quantitative models to market. So large quantitative models are a group of AI models which can include LLMs, but are generally really focused on quantitative use cases. A lot of the models used in the world today, LLM models, are really focused on um, words. That's what they're trained on, and that's what they're good for. And even when they're sort of including coding, or when they're um, including scientific aspects, they're focused on having been trained on this kind of core foundation model of words, right? These LLMs, and they are not typically bringing the value to companies in terms of their kind of frontline value. They're more focused on customer service. They're more focused on sort of back end use cases. We're trying to figure out how we can use the latest architecture, the latest models, latest thinking to actually create new products and new value creation for companies. It can be a range of different things, but it's actually creating new products based on using AI on quantitative use cases. My specific area of focus is on the pharmaceutical side. So we work very closely with a few pharmaceutical companies and some research institutes, and also with some academic labs to design new drug molecules for particular diseases. So a lot of different labs are often trying to understand the biology of a disease, to understand which proteins to target, and we then help them create new molecules that can target those proteins and therefore help with those diseases.
What was like one of the most recent projects you did with the like biomedical field?
One really exciting one is we are helping them find new novel biomarkers to better understand how one of their drugs is impacting patients. So there's already some drugs in the market that they're trying to improve on. And so we're helping them better understand, okay, out of the different pathways in the body, what do the existing drugs tackle? What do your drugs tackle? How is that different? How can we show the FDA and doctors and patients what the differences are and why it's safe? We've been using a mixture of different knowledge graphs and then LQMs on top of knowledge graphs to basically interpret and reason and find causal associations between different biomarkers and their outcomes so that we can provide them a new biomarker.
I heard the 2024 Nobel Prize was given to researchers who use AI in chemistry. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it was given specifically for work on protein structure design, um, and there's a whole bunch of work that culminated in AlphaFold that was released from isomorphic labs. That's an incredible model, which basically was the first real application of what we would call something like a large quantitative model. So it helps us understand the three-dimensional structure of proteins. I think it was really eye-opening use of AI within the field because it really allowed a much better understanding of um, the biology all around us in a way that no one thought would be possible uh, through AI.
Yeah, it's really cool. Um, I guess like what are you most excited about for AI in the future?
I think what I'm most excited about is that I think there's still a lot of white space in a lot of directions. Even with these 3D models of proteins, they're not 100% accurate. But I think that we've now got the confidence and some of the understanding to improve how we go after that. There's a bunch of new data sets and new models that are going to help us go a lot deeper. DeepMind just released another one this week that's focused on DNA and understanding how different strands of DNA are going to impact the body. And then, so I think there's more sort of core research there, which is going to keep advancing. And then I'm also really excited about actually translating that to impact for patients. And what that means for me is that the current drug discovery process takes um, 10 plus years, 10 to 15 years, costs a couple of $1 billion, has a super high failure rate. And often it's not really understood why. And so I think that there's a massive opportunity to apply these models and other models to get higher success rates at better speeds. And that would ultimately just reduce the disease burden on the population, but also the cost of bringing those drugs to the market and therefore the cost to patients as well. So I'm just excited for all these things to get more accurate because I think that we now know how to do that. But there's still a long way to go.
I guess on the same note, something else I want to ask you is what type of tasks do you expect AI to do or humans to do?
I think probably the future is very personalized medicine. Exactly how to tailor a particular drug for it to be most successful for you versus most successful for me. Like that sort of very specific precision medicine, I think, is where we'll end up in a couple of decades. AI to be really driving improvements into human health.
When do you think these progressions would happen? Do you think they're going to happen soon or later?
How soon will we actually be at a point where you go to a doctor and the medicine that you get out of it is super tailored based on your transcriptome relative to mine? Now, that's going to be a few decades because there's just a lot of different changes that happen.
I heard that AI researchers are the most sought after jobs right now. So, how do you and your team find the people to work for you?
And I think, honestly, the best people that we find are through acquaintances and through word of mouth. I do think um, a degree of networking and making sure you keep in touch with people, making sure that you understand and you're curious and you sort of search around to hear what different people are working on is a great way to both hire and be hired. Um, a sort of warm connection to someone or a recommendation is a really, really strong thing in hiring.
And could you recommend any AI tools that kids could use to, like, today to start learning about AI just on the internet or in real life?
But I think Coursera is really great. Like I coded my first AI models through some Coursera courses, which I loved. And I'm not coding day to day, but I found that that was really eye opening to build a base from which I would understand what was going on. And then, of course, I use every function of ChatGPT and Gemini and Perplexity and everything. So all of those are really great. But I think it's good to try and get your hands a little bit dirty.
Thanks so much for doing this again.